When John was born, we heard from a number of people who told us things like, God only gives a burden to those he knows can handle it. Well, first of all, this is not a burden. This is my son. Second of all, John has made us, my wife and myself, his brothers, has made us better people because he's had patience with us and he's taught us.
Hello and welcome to the Disrupt the Everyday podcast. We're here to help you navigate life while disrupting the status quo. Our discussions cover a number of topics relevant to everyday life. We discuss everything from relationships to entrepreneurship. We also engage in some difficult but important conversations. And now, here are your hosts, Brian and Tanya Hamilton.
Welcome to another episode of the Disrupt the Everyday podcast. Today we're joined by father and son, John and Mark Cronin. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, perfect. We already have something in common because we're excited to have you here. So, gentlemen, let's start by learning about you. Who are John and Mark Cronin?
Well, let's see. I'm the father. I'm Mark. You're the son.
I'm
You're
a
John.
son. I'm John.
Right? Most people have a son because we started a business, John's Crazy Socks. What's our mission?
I spread happiness.
But I'll make sure you know who my partner is here. Right?
Dad.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
You're now a sock tycoon.
Yes, I am.
Right? Owner of the world's largest sock store.
Yes, I am.
You're a public speaker.
Yes, I am.
You're a philanthropist.
Yes, I am.
Let's see. You are a brother.
Yes, I am.
You have some friends.
Yes, I am.
You're a good friend. You're an athlete.
Yes, I am.
You're a dancer.
Yes, I am.
And you have a girlfriend. Or you had a girlfriend. You go off and on with the girlfriend.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. And you have Down syndrome.
Yes, I am.
What do you say about that?
I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome never hold me back.
So John's a lot of things. And the Down syndrome is part of it. But it doesn't define him and doesn't limit him. So there you go. You got an old guy and a young guy, and we are who we are. I think Popeye said that.
That's great. And, like Brian had said earlier, he had some of your talks playing in the background one day. We have 3 boys and he cuts their hair. So there's lots of time to listen to podcasts and different things like that. And even the boys got into like listening to what you guys were talking about. So when did John's Crazy Socks start? How did that all come to be?
Well, you got to go back to the fall of 2016. And our story starts in a small log cabin in the woods.
No.
It starts on suburban Long Island outside New York City. And where were you?
I was at Huntington High School. I'm going to be my last year of school.
So John is in his last year of school and like everybody else trying to figure out, what do I do next? And what were you looking at?
I look at job, program, and school. I just like something.
He didn't see anything that was worthwhile. This is an unfortunate reality for people with different abilities. In the U.S., fewer than 1 in 5 people with a disability are fully employed. And Canada has a similar situation. It's awful. It's just, there's not enough meaningful work for people who are ready, willing, and able to work and who make great employees. But John here, John's a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
You didn't see a job you wanted. What'd you say?
I want to create one. I want to make one.
What'd you tell me?
I told my dad I want to go business with him. A nice fellas have been together.
So, Tanya, there's something else we have in common. I'm a lucky man. I've got 3 sons. John's the youngest. And this is one I could work with. So, okay. we're going to go into business. Now, you work with entrepreneurs. You know entrepreneurs have ideas all the time. And some of them are good ideas, not all. So we had to come up with an idea for a business. What was one of your ideas?
I want him in a food truck. I come idea from the movie Chef and John Favreau. That movie about a father and son buying a food truck.
So this seemed pretty neat, right? You could imagine that in Brantford, right? You get your food truck, you get the right place, and we're talking, what are we going to make? What would we sell? And it seemed like a fun idea until we ran into a problem.
Oh, we can't cook.
No. So it wasn't going to be a food truck. But then, right before the U.S. Thanksgiving, the end of November,
I have plenty of idea.
you had your eureka moment, right? Your brilliant idea.
I come in my head. I was smoking my ears.
So, yeah, when John thinks hard, smoke comes out of his ears. What did you say you wanted to do?
I want to sell crazy socks. Why socks? It's colorful. It's creative. It's colorful, creative, and always let me be me. I want to create stuff my whole life.
Right. We used to drive around looking for these socks for John. So we figured this. If John loved them that much, surely other people would
Absolutely.
too. And we could find our tribe.
Hmm.
So at that point, what's the standard thing to do? Stop everything, prepare your business plan, and do your market research, your competitive analysis, your operational plan, your financial forecast. That's not what we did. We went the lean startup route. We said, let's get something up and running, and customers will tell us. So you already had the name.
Yeah, I come a name. I told website come ideas.
So we built a website on a good Canadian company platform, on the Shopify platform. We got a little bit of inventory, and we were bootstrapping. So we recently got asked by a student, well, what exactly is bootstrapping? Bootstrapping means you have no money, right? So you got to make do with what you have. So the only marketing we did was to set up a Facebook page, and I would take out my cell phone and we made videos. And who do you think was in those videos?
I talked about socks. Socks, more socks.
And what day did we open?
We opened on December 9th, 2016.
And we didn't know what to expect. Well, we got a flood of orders that first day. And we got 42 orders. And most of them were local in our town of Huntington. So what do you decide to do with those orders?
I hope just freeze. We get red boxes. I put sock in the box, and in the other put in the box. I put a digging the arrow. I put all the bags of Hershey Kisses in the box.
Right, it was great. We got bags of Hershey's
Yes.
Kisses. We'll just pour them in, loaded up the car,
But yeah,
drove around, and you knocked on doors delivering socks.
absolutely, Dad. And our customer response, they loved the socks, and they took a picture with the socks, and take a picture with me,
Right,
and share on the social media. A word get spread.
We had customers coming back to order again just to get John to come back to their house.
Yes.
And there were some nights, it's just the two of us, right? So it's fun. But we're driving around and it's after 10 o'clock at night and John's knocking on doors like, just John with your socks here,
I don't show me.
No, don't shoot. So at the end of that month, really 2 weeks, we had 452 orders.
Wow.
And we knew we had something. We knew we could grow it. And you learn by doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned, one,
People want to buy socks. 2, people want to buy socks from me.
they related to John. They liked the fact we had already pledged 5% to the Special Olympics. They liked that personal touch of the thank you note and the candy. There was one thing that surprised us. we got a very emotional response from a lot of families because they saw a young man with Down syndrome starting a business and it was giving them hope.
Yeah.
To us, it was just John, but to others, that was impressive to them. And we also learned that this young man,
This is old man.
this old man, we could sell socks.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So that's where we started, and it's kind of like the Big Bang Theory, not the TV show, right? You start with a speck. It was just the two of us, and then expands out and grows. So today, how many different socks do we
We
have?
have 4,000 different kind of stocks.
Have you
That's
seen on
crazy.
here? He owns the world's largest sock store.
Yes, sir.
How cool is that?
That's awesome.
We've been able to create 34 jobs. 22 of those are held by people with different abilities. We've shipped now 390,000 packages to 88 different countries. We've raised, now it's more than $550,000 for our
Absolutely.
charity
Mhm.
partners. And as you like to say, we're just getting started.
Yeah, that's to get started.
That's amazing. Now, the one thing I kind of want to circle back to there is you had mentioned there's 22 people with differing abilities working within the company. So
Right.
what are some of the jobs that they're doing? Because again, part of what you want to do is eliminate some of those stigmas and show that there is meaningful work out there for individuals with differing abilities.
So you could think about our business in two parts. One part is kind of the business front end where it's marketing, it's running the website, it's doing social media and our email and general administrative stuff. So we work with people there for with different abilities who are designers or organize things. The other part of our business, um, main area, is we do our own fulfillment. So we run our own pick and pack warehouse, right? Anybody who sells online has to have a pick and pack capability. Many people outsource that. Amazon is the biggest provider of that service. Well, we do it ourselves, partially because we're looking to create jobs, partially because we use it as a way to personalize service. So um, we therefore we employ a lot of people there. It's run by Andrew, our Lord of the Socks.
Yep.
And what do we call our pickers?
A stock record.
Sock wranglers. And that's our entry level job. And we have happiness packers. So we have a lot of people working there. That's where a lot of the people with different abilities work.
Okay.
But to me, it's a simple and a common sense approach. Every employer will tell you they want to hire the best possible people for whatever they can afford to pay. If you artificially exclude a group of people, then by definition, you cannot hire the best possible people. Right? I'll give you an example out of it, U.S. baseball history, though it touches a bit on Canada. Baseball was all white. And in 1947, the then Brooklyn Dodgers integrated by signing Jackie Robinson. The next team to integrate were the Cleveland Indians. And the next team to integrate were the then New York Baseball Giants. Guess what? They became the best teams in baseball. Now, think about them as businesses. What they said was, we are no longer going to artificially exclude people, in this case, by the color of their skin. We're just going to hire the best baseball players. And that gave them a competitive advantage. So we take that same approach. For us, it's been proven through our experience. We hire people from 3 different pools. Sorry about this. For our warehouse, we have people with differing abilities. We have moms. There's some dads in there, but we hire in 4-hour shifts, and it's not very heavy lifting. So you could put your kid on the bus in the morning, let the kid go to school, come to work, and then be home in time to get the kid off the bus.
Mhm.
And then we have day laborers, unskilled laborers who want a $15 an hour job, and that's the starting wage. Well, of those three labor pools, by far the best pool are people with different abilities. They want to be here. They're focused. They work hard. They care about what they're doing. Um, and so that hiring is essential to our mission. Right? We want to show others what's possible.
Mhm.
Essential to our business. And if you get to know us, you'd find out that John here is a very nice guy.
Yep.
I am not. If you're going to work here, you're going to produce. So we don't give jobs to anybody. We don't do anybody a favor. We give them the opportunity to earn a job. And in fact, to get that sock wrangler job, you have to pass a test. We'll train you, but you have to pass the sock wrangler test. And that's part of the dignity.
Mhm.
Everybody knows they earn that job. They belong here. They deserve to be here. And we want other businesses to see that. We
Mhm.
succeed because of whom we hire. So just take this part, right? We do better shipping than Amazon. We do same day shipping. If an order comes in today, it is going out today. We don't miss on that. We measure our error rate. How many packages is there a problem? Our error rate is less than 0.5 of 1%. So there is a problem on fewer than 1 in every 200 packages. We will hold that up against any other organization. So we have the speed and the accuracy. That's because of the people we hire.
Wow. And I think, I'm just listening to you and I'm like just sort of caught in there. And I'm also thinking, you know what, like for a lot of parents maybe who even have younger kids who, being diagnosed with so many different things, or born with a different ability, right? I think parents stop and think, okay, kids are fine now. They're just being kids, but like they fear maybe and they worry about the future, right? After high school, what happens next? So just to listen to the story, like it's encouraging to hear that, you know what? There are, and hopefully as years continue, there'll be more organizations that are open to hiring everybody and giving them that fair shot to be able to pick up on something, because the reality is everybody wants to wake up every morning knowing that they have something meaningful they have to do, right?
That's so right. Um, we can give you numbers, but I can also put it in some context, right? So we have this social enterprise, we have a social mission and a business purpose. And what's our overall mission?
I still haven't.
Spread and happiness. We build it on 5 pillars. The most important of those pillars is inspiration and hope. It's showing what's possible. And there are 2 sides to that coin. One side are showing people with differing abilities and giving them hope, showing them what's possible. The other side is talking to business owners and policymakers to get them to change their mindset. So, what do we do on that? In addition to hiring people, we host school tours, we host work groups. So, we've had more than 1,000 students come here. And now, in a partially virtual world, we've had school groups from around the world come just to come and see. And here's one of the outcomes. And this makes us feel good. The teacher called us after coming through here on a tour. And the next day and said, I want you to know I had this one student who didn't want to go on the tour. Very difficult person, she said, a young man with autism. He came in the next day and printed out a picture of him and John together and handed it to the teacher and said, you see, I can do anything. Right? Just give that hope, give that possibility. Right? And here's we can talk numbers and statistics. Here's an example of what it what it happens. And we're so fortunate. We get to see minor miracles all the time. So I'll tell them about Thomas.
Yeah, that.
So Thomas is one of our sock wranglers. Thomas's mother called us up in October of 2017 and said, I hear you hire people like my son. You got to give my son a job. And our colleagues said, well, we're not hiring now, but when we have an opening, we'll post. Well, she called every day. I mean, she's a mom, called every day. And I spoke to her and I said, tell me about Thomas. She says, well, he's in a bad way. He's in his early 20s. He has autism. He's very depressed. We have trouble getting him to come out of his room. He won't shower or shave. We can't get him to join any programs. And he hasn't spoken to his father in over 6 months. Well, sounds like a wonderful employee. When we had an opening, she's on the phone. She brings him out. Thomas passes that sock wrangler test as if he was put on this earth to be a sock wrangler. Today, days he works, Thomas is showered and shaved and waiting at 6:30 in the morning for his father to drive him 1 hour to get to work.
Wow.
And the young man who wouldn't look at you, wouldn't talk to anybody, comes in and says good morning to everybody here. And I want to be really clear about this. We did nothing. We have no special training. We have no special programs. We have no government support. The two of us, we're just knuckleheads selling socks. All we did was give Thomas the opportunity to earn a job.
Yeah.
And Thomas does great work. And it's transformative. And we just want to, that's why we're so appreciative of you having us on your podcast. We just want to keep telling that story.
Mm-hmm.
It's show, let people see. We want other employers to see. We did a TEDx talk on this theme of, hiring people with different abilities is not altruism. It's good business. We tell business owners, don't do it because it's the right thing to do. I mean, it is, but don't do it for that reason. And don't do it because it's going to make you feel good, which it will. Don't do it so you can show up in church or the synagogue or the mosque and beat your chest and say, look at me. Do it because it's going to help your business.
Absolutely. Well, I kind of want to get a little bit more of your story, Mark. So how was it when, I want to understand how it felt for you when John came with this idea and you got fully engaged in it. What was it like for you, and what has it done for you being a part of this business?
Well, I'll put things in a larger context, and then I'll dive into that.
Sure.
When John was born, we heard from a number of people who told us things like, God only gives a burden to those he knows can handle it. Well, first of all, this is not a burden. This is my son. Second of all, John has made us, my wife and myself, his brothers, has made us better people because he's had patience with us and he's taught us. But I'll jump ahead. We usually only talk about John, but I'll tell you where I'm at. So in the fall of 2016, I had entered the fall and I had been working with my wife in her business, and we had worked together to grow that. For reasons we don't need to go into, she had to shut that business down overnight. So there we were. It's October 2016, no family income. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm basically unemployable. What are we going to do? And I was starting some online businesses. And that's when John came to me and said, Dad, I want to go into business with you. And I thought, well, John was asking for my help and I had to step up and help him. I now understand what was happening. John was coming to save me. John was coming to me to say, Dad, I believe in you. Dad, I'll be there with you. That's where it was. Today, we just left a meeting with our sock wranglers. There is nothing better than when this place is busy and everybody is here working. It is the greatest feeling in the world to see these folks and the joy and the happiness and the purpose. And it just motivates us to want to go do more and grow the business, to hire more people and show more people. It's an incredible feeling. We're so fortunate to get to do what we do.
And I mean, a question that I was thinking is, for the husbands and wives that work together, how does it work for the father and son to work together?
Well, it's good for us, right? In part because we both know we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do this without John. I don't think you could do it without me. We have our roles.
Yeah.
But listen, let's be real about stuff. I mentioned I have 3 sons. My middle son worked with us for a while. It wasn't going to last. He left, and thank God, because if he didn't, you were going to find us both in a pool of blood on the floor. My wife works with us now. It's not always, there are times when we'll be going home or something, and she'll just look at me and say, can we please just leave it in the office? And we're different people. We're, we have different ways of communicating. And so that can be challenging, but it's so rewarding. And, look at the 2 of you. It's so rewarding when you can make it work and you're on the same page. And particularly the 2 of us have had some just phenomenal opportunities because of this business. And to be able to share those with my son, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
We've testified twice before the United States Congress. We've spoken at the United Nations. To be standing at that podium at the United Nations next to my son, how awesome. How awesome. Pretty cool, right, bud?
Look at that.
Oh, man.
Another thing that's pretty cool too. So for myself personally, back, I think it was 5 years. Yes, 5 years ago, I was able to be a part of not be a part of it. I was in the audience. A presentation that was being done by former Vice President George W. Bush. And I understand that you guys have a unique connection to him as well.
We actually, with his father, with George H.W. Bush the elder, if you will.
Okay.
And this is an example of nothing is outside of your reach. And the more you put out there, the more good can happen. So in the spring of 2017, we saw a news article and a picture that the former president liked to wear crazy socks. And what'd you say?
I want to make one. I want to create
You
one.
said, let's send him some socks, right?
Yes. I want to.
So that's what we did. We sent him a box of socks. Sometime later, we got a call from his office saying the president loved those socks. He wants more. And then he sent John socks. And then he started tweeting out pictures of him wearing John socks.
That's
and
amazing.
connecting. And this is an important connection. It was President Bush the elder, who signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, which changed the world for millions of people. Without that, there's no John's Crazy Socks. Then Mrs. Bush, Barbara Bush, passed away, and his office called and said the president and the family want to wear socks to honor her legacy, her commitment to family literacy. We overnighted socks to him. Well, the day of her funeral, he didn't talk to anybody. He didn't talk to the media. All he did was tweet out a picture of his socks.
Wow.
And explained why he wore those socks. And that's when we realized, he was 95 years old. He was quite infirm. He's not meeting with the media. He was communicating with the world through his socks. And to think that my son was there at a moment of grief for a president. How awesome is that? But also to connect at that level, to share some joy, to show some gratefulness for what he did in signing that bill. So we now have socks. We have those socks and we have other socks, and they raise money for the Barbara Bush Family Literacy Foundation. And there's still a connection. Two weeks ago, we were down in Texas. John did a meet and greet event at the Bush Presidential Library. They've now made socks. We made additional socks for them that they sell in their store. And we spoke at the Bush School of Government. So that was all pretty neat.
Wow.
And all because John said, we should send them some
Yeah.
socks.
Yeah, it's interesting how life works that way, right? Where you just never know what the outcome is going to be. And sometimes people, are like, oh, well, why bother? They're never going to get it, right? Or what have you. But no, you guys went with what you wanted to do and you followed it through.
We have learned that nothing is too crazy and nothing
Yeah.
is nothing is outside of reach. I mean, here's another example of that. So we created an Autism Can Do scholarship. It started as a $2,500 scholarship. Now it's $5,000 for somebody in the autism spectrum to advance their education. So the first year, the winner was a young man from a small town in Arkansas. So I suppose they're all small towns in Arkansas. And we're talking to him. We wanted to put on a show. We wanted to do it at his hometown and get the marching band out and the mayor and, give him this prize and award, call attention to somebody with autism because they frequently don't get that. Well, he was going to use the money to attend the Joey Travolta Film School. Joey Travolta is John Travolta's brother, and he has a studio and a school for people with different abilities. Next thing I know, I get a call from Joey. Mark, love what you guys are doing. We got to do things together. So here's what came of that. Joey was making a film called Carol of the Bells, starring somebody with Down syndrome and somebody with autism. He says, I want to put John in the movie. Let's give him a walk-on role. So we had one day where our schedule was free and they were shooting. We flew to California. You shoot in Bakersfield, California. Fly to LA, drive up to Bakersfield, puts John in the movie. We made socks to promote the movie. The movie then premiered at the Bentonville Film Festival in Arkansas. Bentonville is the home of Walmart. So that's going to premiere there. Well, at the same time, somebody had done a documentary short about us called Sock Guys. Joey arranged for that to premiere at the Bentonville Film Festival. So we all go down to this thing together. John's now in 2 movies at the film festival. And at the award ceremony, that's when we give the award to this young man.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
Media is there, and they matched our scholarship award. So all because we started on one thing and it turned into this great, wonderful event. Pretty cool, right, buddy?
Yeah, I get an Oscar.
You're going to get an Oscar?
Oh, man. So, John, let me ask you, do you help design these socks?
Some of socks. I designed a Down syndrome winner socks. With money, study partners, diet and anti-attack, and NASA Down syndrome society.
So you designed a fair number of our socks.
Yeah,
Right?
they did.
Nice.
We'll put it in context. When we started, we only sold other people's socks. January of 2017, we're starting off.
Yes.
We are learning firsthand that nobody buys anything in January because they spent all their money at the holidays. And we're looking at what could we sell that people would buy. And that's when we learned that people celebrate World Down Syndrome Day
Mhm.
by wearing crazy socks.
Mhm.
You would have thought we knew that ahead of time.
Well, I
We're not that smart, right? So now we go out looking for a Down syndrome sock. Nobody made one. What are we going to do? What do you say?
I want to make one. I want to make one.
He designs a sock. He said, Dad, let's do this. So I found a mill to make that sock. We called up the National Down Syndrome Society and said, hey, we're going to make this sock. We're going to sell it. And we want to give you money from every pair. And they said, who are you? We're now good friends. And actually, you're on the board. And so that's where we got started doing that. In beginning of 2020, we signed a strategic partnership with a third generation family business that's been making socks for 60 years for department stores and brand names, so that now we can produce our own socks. And now we are entering the wholesale channel. So by beginning of next year, we already have arrangements with 3 national retailers to be in their stores. So we're making more and more of our own socks in addition to selling other people's. And you designed many of them.
I did.
You've also designed greeting cards. And,
Yeah.
it's let's show what's possible.
Absolutely. Now, John, I want to circle back to some of the things that you mentioned earlier. So you mentioned that you're an athlete and that you're a dancer as well. Can we learn more about that?
Yes. I am an athlete.
What sports do you play?
I play basketball, track and field, soccer and snowshoe, and I love dancing, and I want to share. I hold a dance party every Tuesday at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern time. I'm on Zoom and I'm on dancing. I'm linked on my website at johncronin.com. I have a link up below, and everyone can join the dance party.
So, right, the pandemic hits. People are all isolated. What's our mission?
I spread happiness.
How do you spread happiness if everybody's isolated? Well, one way was let's hold a dance party. So John hosts a weekly online dance party.
I did.
Which is great fun, right? And this is part of your routine. If we hit 4:00 and John doesn't have something specific to do, you go dancing.
Yeah, I did it today.
You're doing it today, and you dance and you'll sing. Sometimes the singing we have to worry about. Sometimes it sounds like
I sound like a animal. I trap.
You sound like an animal caught.
Hey, we can't be good at everything, John.
Right? But that's so. Among other things, you've been asked by people, well, if you weren't selling socks, what would you do? He says, I'm going to run a dance camp. And I'm looking at him. This part of me thinks, well, that's crazy. And there's another part of me like, I'm not telling him no.
I have other idea.
Another idea. What's that?
I was trying to see songwriting.
Songwriting. Right. You write songs. You're learning to write songs.
I write songs.
You're working at it. Now you've learned about verses and refrains. You're structuring your songs.
Right.
More.
Oh, I really fun.
What?
John's Crazy L's.
Oh, yeah. Right. We're going to brew our own beer. John's Crazy Ales. You'll find this crazy old man at the end of the bar.
Yeah, I can
Hey, you can branch it off. You can rebrand.
We do have a venture. We come back to you, right?
Get that.
You were very active.
Yes.
You got your Special Olympics. You're dancing all the time. You're going out with your friends. You do a lot, don't you?
Yes, I do.
It's and he works hard. You know, I'll give you an example of John.
Yes.
We'll tell you an anecdote of. So we had participated in a Special Olympic fundraiser. It was a young professional mixer, very hot club in Manhattan, a lot of good-looking people, a lot of Wall Street types. And we get home at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I tell John, I said, listen, you haven't had a day off in ages. Just sleep in tomorrow. Take the day off and relax. He said, okay. I get up, I come to the office. About 10 o'clock, who comes walking in the door? It's John. So what are you doing? Said, I have things to do. I took an Uber to the office. Let's go. Okay. You know, and like at that point, I think you were 23. And like, how many 23-year-olds are saying, no, I don't want a day off. Let me work. So it's, but we are starting a program that may interest your listeners called
yes.
JCS Champions. And this addresses some of that need of, you know, creating opportunities for people with different abilities. So JCS Champions will put people with differing abilities into their own business by giving them a business in a box. Now, it'll be a micro business, but the idea is they'll be able to sell our socks at craft fairs, farmers markets, county fairs, special events, or maybe go to a store. They could go in Brantford and approach a store in town and say, hey, can I set my stand up here and sell socks? What we're going to do for the enrollees, we're going to give them 6 weeks of training, all virtual training. And at the end of that, they'll have a written plan. Then we're going to send them selling stands, inventory, signage, and we'll give them ongoing support through an online group, regular online meetings, and one-on-one support. So that somebody can take that, and maybe that's all they want. They want that micro business. But if they want to sell other things and grow a business, go with God. Go and do that. We're going to start with 5, because we know we'll make some mistakes, so we want to learn from those. But over 5 years, we're going to create 1,000 businesses.
Wow,
We
that's
want to
amazing.
light up North America and show, look what can happen. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, I love that concept and just that ability to be able to, give people maybe a chance who don't really know where to start with something, right? Just to pull it out, but to have something that's already going. So really, it's like a win-win. You know, it takes that, what you guys did starting off with not much. It takes that fear out of the way, really, and just going in and being able to be successful, but being able to grow it however that person desires, right?
Right.
Having the support from you guys.
You know, and you know, this is reality. This is a real business. So when we talk about it and the material we put out there, we want to both excite people and scare them.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, the first time you go to the farmer's market, if you sell 2 pairs of socks, you can't quit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure out, okay, I'll be back next week and I'll sell 4, or what do I do to sell more? Or maybe I should be in a different place. You got to have that grit. So we want to try to make sure that the enrollees know what they're in for. It's not a franchise. We're not running this for you. It's a real business.
Yep. That's great.
So other than John's crazy ales, what is on the what are some of the future plans for business and just anything that you guys are kind of working on in general?
Well, we're continuing to grow our direct-to-consumer business. We have been growing our B2B business for years now. Companies have called us up and said, will you make socks for us? We've made socks for Google and Microsoft and Meredith Vieira, the TV host. We made socks for her son's wedding. So we're very smart people. We said, what do you think would happen if we actually marketed those services? So now we're starting to grow those services. We are entering the wholesale channel, so that we think that in fact will will be our fastest area of growth. But if you listen and look at us, at the end of the day, we're not really a sock store. The socks become the physical manifestation for the story and the mission. And in that sense, we want to create more and more content to go and share. It's entertainment. A lot of what guides us now is the idea of no broccoli. Nothing your mother says, this is good for you. You got to sit down and eat this. It's got to be fun. It's got to be entertaining and showing people as they are. So, we have that. We have the JCS champions. We do a lot of speaking engagements, and we're trying to figure out how to grow that. But the world is opening up again, so we're traveling again. In the last 2 months, we've been North Carolina, Ohio, Cape Cod, Massachusetts, with the Kennedy family. That's great fun. You go sailing with the Kennedys.
Yep.
But we've been to Fargo, North Dakota. We've been down to College Station in Texas. We've done things here in New York. We've got, I think, 12 speaking gigs between now and December.
Wow.
And all that is an opportunity to just go out and let's show what's possible, share the story. So we got a lot going on. We have something new on October 8th. We are sponsoring a fashion show. We're organizing a fashion show at a local mall. All of the models will have a disability. There'll be musical performances. There's an art show going to take at the same time. It's another face of beauty. And we're hoping if that's successful that we can then replicate that. So
nonstop.
We got a lot going on.
Yeah. No, that's great, you guys. And a great story, a great backstory. And just to sort of walk, as you walked us through the beginning, the
Right.
middle, and now. But yeah, it's pretty neat to see where you guys are now.
We're very fortunate, to get the opportunities, but the opportunities create an obligation on our part, right? People,
There we
look,
go.
you have us on, so that's wonderful. But then it creates an obligation for us to make use of this time and kind of speak up for people that can't speak up. So we feel that all the time. And we're just fortunate to get those opportunities. We have the one, like, here's one anecdote or time. We're down on at the U.S. Capitol, and had shared that on social media, and a customer from Houston called the office and spoke to a colleague and said, look, my mother works on Capitol Hill, and she's a big fan of John's, and she'd like to meet John. Do you think that's possible? And our colleague gave her my cell number and said, just have your mother text her contact information to Mark. Well, who was mom?
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. So we get to go and have an audience with Nancy Pelosi. And I know some things are getting a little strident in Canada. Thank God they're not as bad as in the US, where we're so angry and vilifying. If you disagree with somebody, that's not enough. You got to vilify them. And with our elected officials, we forget their humanity. So among other things, I don't care where you are politically, Nancy Pelosi is an 80-year-old Italian grandmother. So we come in and she's so warm and nice to John, and she takes out pictures of socks that she gave former President Bush, because of John's connection. And everybody's hugging and smiling and taking photos. It's all quite wonderful. But you see, we now have this opportunity, and we have to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, Miss Pelosi, this is very nice. Glad we got all the photos. But we have to talk to you. We have to repeal Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standard Act of 1938 that allows employers in the U.S. to pay people with disabilities as little as 25 cents an hour. And there are upwards of 200,000 people being paid that little in this country. So now let's sit down and talk about changing that law. Because if we get that opportunity, we can't just walk out smiling. You gotta do something with it.
Yeah.
She loved hearing that. But we're like bulldogs, you know?
You come in sweet, but you just gotta lay down the law when you need it.
Well, people want John coming in and then they're like, oh, who's this guy?
Oh man. Well, it's been a great conversation. Sorry, I didn't know if you were gonna.
No, I was just gonna kind of wrap up the same way. No, it's been an amazing conversation, and it's great to see the synergy that the two of you have working together and that entrepreneurial spirit, fully at play, and really just you guys sharing the stories about how you're taking advantage of all of these different opportunities and just seeing how the business has grown and seeing all the plans for the future. It's really exciting to see. It gives a lot of people hope, and hopefully during this conversation we've been able to achieve some of your mission of spreading some more happiness and just sharing the positivity that both of you bring.
Well, if there's anybody out there that we could help, they can contact us through our website. We talk to folks all the time. You want to put a plug in?
Yes, Dad. I check out our website at johnscrazysocks.com. There's a link right here, right now. You can find us on our platform. We have a YouTube channel. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And also check out our podcast. Our podcast is the Spring Happy Podcast. On all platforms.
Right. So a lot of places, right?
That's awesome.
Our website. We're on all the social media channels. You're a rising TikTok star, right? You like that. We do have a podcast. What's it called?
The Spring Happy Podcast.
It's a half hour of the two of us bantering. We have some regular features of we always highlight a business owned by or focused on people with different abilities. We share a good news story about autism, of Down syndrome. We tell some jokes.
Yeah, we do.
They're pretty terrible jokes, but we tell some jokes. You crack yourself up, but that John gives an update on his love life. That's up and down and all around. It's just designed to make people feel good. 30 minutes will put a smile on your face. So there's a lot out there, right? And listen, when people, and we plus the dance party, when people buy from us, you're going to get a great pair of socks. But you help us employ people with different abilities. You help us give back. And most of all, you help us spread happiness.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool, right, bud?
Yeah, Dad.
You got advice for people?
I do. Follow your heart. Follow your dream. Work hard. So you can do.
Show what you can do.
Show what you can do.
Yeah.
Awesome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. And for everyone who watched or listened, thank you for letting us disrupt your everyday.
Thanks for listening to the Disrupt the Everyday podcast. For more ways to listen, connect with us on social media. To be a guest or to partner with us, check out our link tree at Disrupt the Everyday. Join us next time for more ways to disrupt the everyday.
you.